Hey, everybody out there, welcome back to 91.8 The Fan. It is I, back again, your favorite holiday-themed host, the DJ Christmas, and I have with me another returning special guest. Hello, returning special guest.
Hi, Chris.
Yay! Who is this returning special guest, you may ask? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Maybe he'll tell you. It's not going to be me.
I'm KaiserNeko from Team 4-Star. I'm the director, co-founder, and one of the writers. I've voiced many characters like King Kai and Birder and Trunks and some other people. I think like Zarbon, Yedrobe, Kara, and Icarus. I play a lot of Oolong. It's funny. I play more people than I think in my head.
It's funny that you picked Birder to say second over Trunks when Trunks is kind of the
I
main
usually
guy
go.
right now.
I usually go like it's a mixture of how many lines I've had, and I think I had more as Birder than I had as Trunks.
Which is kind
Um,
of weird to think about because as much as I like Birder, he's probably my second favorite
well, he's the
ninja.
fastest in the universe. How could you not like him?
I don't know. I always like Jace. Something about the Australian accent really caught.
Oh, okay. Just put me out there like that. Compare me to Jace. Whatever. He's prettier. Fuck you.
But you're so blue.
He is blue. I play a lot of blue characters actually. I played Birder, King Kai, and Zarbon, all blue, um, and all varying degrees of homosexual.
You just yeah. Well, and then there's Trunks, who he has daddy issues.
Yeah. Oh, it's Trunks. Trunks is one of those fun characters, mostly because he's very reactionary, and the best part about playing him is that it intimidates the living crap out of me.
Really?
Oh no, playing Trunks is probably the most intimidating character I've ever had to play because all the other characters, I'm not gonna lie, almost all the other characters I play are very much character voices. King Kai is, well, we know how King Kai sounds. Berter and Korean sound actually very similar, and in Yajirobe, it's like, you have characters who sound like this. And then you've got guys who are much more guttural and down here for Yajirobe. But for Trunks, it's basically me and my regular voice. I pitch it up a little bit and I add a little bit of rasp, but otherwise, it's not that different from me just kind of speaking.
Yeah, and sometimes that is pretty handy. Uh, just to have just a regular voice. Usually when we talk to voice actors and they say the best way to get practice if you want to get into the industry is practice your voice. Not a funny voice, not copying somebody else's voice, but work on your voice.
Yeah, legitimately, you want to be able to find a voice that is completely your own. And while you do want to stretch your range and go into different places, what the first thing you need to focus on is finding a voice that is completely unique. And sometimes, no matter what, you're gonna sound like somebody else a little bit because considering the wide range of talent that there is out there, no matter what, you're gonna if someone's gonna say, "Oh, you sound like Crispin Freeman," or "You sound like Patrick Seitz," or not that anyone's ever said I sound like Crispin Freeman or Patrick Seitz, although I won't turn down the compliment.
Yeah,
Um,
I would not mind being compared to Crispin or Patrick because those are two really nice voices.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, they are. Listen to them for and J. Michael Tatum. Yeah.
I think probably the one voice actor I know who has had the biggest issue with that is Micah Solasad, who
Oh, poor Micah.
I still don't think
He's
he
so
can escape the fact that everybody thinks he's Johnny Young Bosch.
It got so bad that they cast him as the son of Johnny Young Bosch's character in the Eureka 7 movie.
Yeah, I remember when like they released the first episode on YouTube of Soul Eater before like any sort of DVDs or anything came out, and you know after listening to it a few minutes, you start to realize that oh no, this isn't Johnny Young Bosch. This is a completely distinct voice all on its own. Stop saying that. It's kind of rude now.
Yeah, well, it was sort of funny because in the first trailer, everyone's like, "What the hell?"
Johnny Young
It-
Bosch doesn't work at Funimation.
I mean, he did that one character in Full Metal and the one character in Peck, but this what?
This is the main character. This is a
Yeah,
52 episode show, and
poor Micah, and oh man, Micah though. I've met Micah actually once. Funny enough, him and Taka like were friends back in the day before the whole Funimation thing started. And
wow.
so, yeah, And so, like one time we were in the Dallas area and we actually met up with them, and he's a friendly dude. He's like Micah is so friendly and so nice and sort of cute because he's kind of like short Asian dude, and it's great. I like Micah. I like Micah.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy,
Yeah, I know.
and since Soul Eater, he has had a lot of really big breakout roles that set him apart from Johnny Young Bosch. Stop saying he's Johnny.
In that's actually really good. I'm really glad. Like, oh man, the fact that he was in Wolf Children, I was so psyched for him.
Wolf
Like,
Children, I was really proud of him when he landed Guy from Guilty Crown. That's a big character in a show that I really like.
I've never seen Guilty Crown, but good for him still, you know.
Guilty Crown is one of the shows that I will watch just for the really, really pretty music. It's like music is one of the things that always draws me into something, and it's Guilty Crown's soundtrack is composed by Supercell. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this soundtrack a lot.
Aha.
But speaking of short Asian, this is a terrible segue. Um, it, I'm trying to bridge the gap between talking about Micah and talking about Tax Assist and Attack on Titan abridged.
You know, that's not a terrible segue, considering that they are in fact both short Asian dudes with nice voices and are good at acting. Um, and Attack on Titan. So yeah, Attack on Titan. Poor thing got pulled off of YouTube. Oh no.
I'm surprised it took that long, honestly. If it was gonna happen, it usually happens right away. But
Yeah, especially considering how quickly it hit 1 million views. Like you'd imagine that would have thrown up a red flag pretty quickly, but um, it actually got pulled by the Japanese uh, distribution right owners.
hmm,
Uh, so I guess that's not too surprising. I believe we actually did end up using their Blu-ray footage.
mm,
And so oh, Howard just posted on Twitter. It just called me short and Asian live on anime radio. Yep, I totally did. um,
well, maybe you should be taller and also not Asian.
yeah, be taller and Caucasian, or black, or I don't know, Hispanic.
Something, not just not Asian. We call him like we see him, and we see him
We do.
short and Asian.
Yeah. Probably should get off the subject before it starts to get maybe unintentionally racist. But
We mean it in the nicest possible way.
how could you not mean Asian in a nice way?
Of course.
Um, but yeah, and we used their Blu-ray footage, and let's be fair. The whole legality on fair use when it comes to abridged material, no one knows exactly where that lies.
Yeah.
We weren't making money off of it, but it's still really up in the air of what can we get away with.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky, and well, you're not technically doing anything bad with it. It's still, especially in the eyes of like a Japanese company, it's still, not what they want to see.
Yeah, especially since the Japanese companies are a little bit more traditional. They're not exactly thrilled with the whole internet movement, which is partially a criticism. But you know, I understand that it's very cultural and
Yeah,
ingrained. So that
it's maybe as, it moves on, we'll see more of it sort of get, more acceptable, but I
yeah,
think for now, especially with the whole, you know, Bandai closing down their North American branch and everything like that,
yeah.
we're still a ways off from it being just
Well,
i-
it doesn't
acceptable.
help. Yeah, it doesn't help that the Japanese industry doesn't really like uh foreign industry all that much. They feel like it dilutes their brand.
Yeah,
And so you find you find a lot of those companies being really kind of, they're a bit standoffish when it comes to changing how they handle their business in foreign countries. It's why uh, it took so long for anime to start being streamed as openly as it has been legally.
yeah,
uh, Crunchyroll is a success story that I can't even fathom at this point, considering they started off basically flying in the face of not just Japanese companies but American companies as well. And so someone who was brilliant enough to turn a bad situation on its head was like, okay, then how about we buy you and you do it legally?
Yeah,
which
like when I first thought of Crunchyroll, like back when I heard it being a good legal streaming solution, I always thought, isn't that piracy site?
I know, right? I mean, again, yeah, like it surprised everybody. Nobody saw Crunchyroll like it again with the way the companies had been acting. You thought, oh, they're gonna be shut down. It's gonna be open and shut. Like they'll get a C&D, and then they'll get if they continue, the legal action will be brought to them. And no, they just bought the damn thing up, and
I've actually had a talk here and there with one of the brand managers at Funimation, and more often than not, those piracy streaming sites that we won't mention here because that's silly. Then you'd go
yeah,
look for them. But uh, like companies like Funimation are very much aware of the few big name ones that exist. Like if it's a fairly well-known site that has a decent design, and I will admit some piracy sites do have a aesthetically pleasing design, but they are completely aware of their existence, and there's just not a whole lot they can do about it because of where their server is. And
yeah, that's yeah.
it's just one of those issues where if they could do something about it, they would. And for the longest time, the biggest way to take care of that was to pull stuff off Mega Video, and then Mega Upload and Mega Video went down, and all the piracy sites switched to like proprietary video players and whatever.
Mm.
So it's just interesting to see the back and forth between the industry and the piracy kind of thing because uh, I'm I'm not ashamed to admit that years ago I was a fiendish anime pirate. I would
I think
pirate.
I think we were all when we were teenagers because we were cheap and our parents didn't want to spend all the money we wanted them to spend, and maybe we didn't have a job in high school. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but we all had our reasons.
Yeah, I
And
won't
and
make
then
any
we grew up to be
excuses.
responsible consumers who actually buy and support the things they love instead of acting like a bunch of entitled twats.
Yeah, and that's as I think as long as you can make that mature progression, then it's not quite as bad. Like I won't advocate piracy,
Yeah,
but
don't yeah, we're not advocating piracy. And if you're listening to this and you're a high schooler, do some like watch on Crunchyroll if you want to watch your anime illegally or legally streamed. If you want to watch it on the internet and don't want to have to, put down money, sit through a couple of ads. Don't be a jerk. Don't
uh,
be that guy.
chip in with a couple of friends, get a Netflix account or something.
Ah, Netflix.
Netflix is amazing. I got to watch a lot of stuff on Netflix. Make my account worthwhile.
Oh, we were going to talk about Attack on Titan though.
Oh yeah, which is on Netflix, oddly enough.
Yeah, which is.
But Attack on Titan, you guys are working something out so fans can view it again.
Yeah. Currently we're actually working on a new website, and once that's finished, we're imagining that we're going to put it up there.
Very cool, and that's always good. I think we have a banner on your old website.
I'm pretty sure you do. Yeah, that should still be up there.
Cool.
We have neglected the old website far too much. It's not like we don't care about the website. Exactly the opposite. We're trying to start a new, we're trying to start, a whole new website and a whole new design, and so sooner rather than later, actually, I believe by June. Or not June, February, much sooner. February 16th, maybe we're gonna
Hmm.
have it up. It's between the 16th and the 21st.
Sometime this
Um,
month.
yeah, sometime this month. And it'll be easier to see it'll be so much easier to see our content, and we'll have Attack on Titan up there, and yeah, Attack on Titan. Oh man, again, when that went down, there was a little bit of panic. It's like, oh shit, what, when, and where, and why, and we couldn't figure it out for the longest time because the name they gave us. Finally, I looked it up, and I looked up Pony Canyon and Attack on Titan. And it's like, oh,
Oh, Pony
yeah,
Canyon. Yep.
they own the distribution. That makes sense.
Pony Canyon is huge. I think Pony Canyon is basically second only to Sony Music Japan.
Yeah. See, and again, very surprising that it took that long.
it does make more sense that it would be a legitimate takedown than just like a random bot sweep that Martin gets hit with every 4 months,
Yeah.
which is also prone to happen too. But it seems like with the Dragon Ball Z abridged, that happens quite a bit less often.
It stopped basically. I think there were so many counterclaims that at some point someone just like was like, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Because you
Like
guys,
either
if you actually keep up with it, eventually they give you a bit of a respite.
they must have because again, it really did just get to that point where we were putting in counterclaims every month saying, guys, we keep like we've been doing this like and we're under like we believe we're under fair use and you keep accepting the counterclaim and so yeah at some point it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah. Can I just make one suggestion for the new website as a fan and consumer?
Go ahead.
The biggest issue I have with the site now is the blip player playlist thing. It plays videos in reverse.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be fixed. Like the way to get to episodes is gonna be a lot easier. Blip sucks. Like and now that we're moving away from Blip, I don't feel so bad saying Blip totally sucks.
That was
Like
always my one biggest issue was like, yeah, I'll go to the website, I'll support, the website, they get the blip revenue, everything's nice and cool. These episodes are in reverse order. And then
yeah, and
there's like,
finding them on the website isn't that easy. And yeah, no, the new website's gonna be much easier to navigate. It's gonna be a lot better. It's gonna be significantly better.
well, that's good.
Um,
I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's always best to check something out at the official website, be it Dragon Ball Z abridged or whatever.
yeah. Not to say the designers for the old website, like they did a good job, but it just got to the point where we have too much content now, so it's just not going to it's not keeping up with that.
Yeah, and you don't really have any way to put subcategories for this is DBZ and this is Attack on Titan and this is TFS plays and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, TFS plays is going strong.
yeah. Actually, I'm actually very excited and surprised a little bit just how well that it's going over. Like we started the whole TFS gaming like way back in the day when we would just play a bunch of Left 4 Dead 2, and then we're like, this is fun. And people kind of like the whole let's play thing. Why don't we make some of that for people? And then yeah, ultimately became a little way of us to sit back, have fun with each other, play around, and make some ad revenue on the side. Considering we can't monetize the regular series, so I'm really happy that people are enjoying them as much as they are because it allows us to continue working on DBZA
Yeah,
because for a little while there, and people might notice that every once in a while, episodes don't come out as quickly. There are times where we don't have much time in our lives because we're busy focused on work and paying our bills and trying to make sure that we continue to sustain ourselves.
wait, are you
Uh,
saying that you, an internet celebrity, have better things to do than to provide free content to us, the consumers, for free?
Shh, don't let anybody know that.
No, Kaiser, you're shattering the dream, man.
Oh, and trust me, there's no part of me that likes basically having to tell people, yeah, guys, sorry, we don't we can't always put out new episodes all the time. It won't work out like that. Like, we'd love to put out an episode every like 2 weeks or like every three, but if we have work, if we have life, if like legitimately we can't put down the time to edit or script, that's kind of out of our control. And we never get mad at people about it. We like sometimes we get frustrated, especially after like an episode has come out and
Yeah,
it's not been a whole lot and or I've been trying really hard to get an episode done and I see something like that. Um,
literally
like
15 minutes after episode 39 came out. It's like, when's the next one?
I might be like 40 hours into editing the episode and only halfway done, and then somebody's complaining about our release schedule, and it's like, yeah, um, Yeah, we're taking too long. Sorry.
which I think was really important thing to highlight when you did the first TFS news video for explaining the process, because a lot of people they'll say, "Oh, I could do this in an hour." Then go do it in an hour and watch it be not nearly as good, because it is a process. You have to do the scripting and you have to go to everybody for lines, and then you and pretty much you alone do all of the editing for it.
I firmly believe that there are people out there that could do our job as well and faster. I know that they exist because we are not the best in our fields. However, we are the people doing this job, and unfortunately, life happens.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep trying our hardest. It's never been a matter of whether or not we're trying, because kind of like literally worked our asses off sometimes. Conventions are very cardio heavy.
Yeah.
Um, but we really do put in a lot of time and effort to the show. And for all the people who don't complain, for all the people who are patient with us and understand, or at least for the people who don't, take umbrage like personally with us, I have so much love for, honestly. Like, thank you. I thank every single one of you for being so supportive and understanding, because there are a lot of hours that go into every episode, and it could be like between 60 and 80 just for the editing process. Don't Never mind the scripting, never mind the directing.
Yeah. And
So
on behalf of, all of the sane fans who are patient and can wait and understand the process, you're welcome. It really is just one of those things where, you know, I don't see it as something that should be on a set schedule because that's what you guys have said. Like, you're not a syndicated TV show that gets tons of network ad revenue or whatever. You guys are doing this just because you like to have a good time. And, it's one of the things that you like to do. And okay, whatever. And one of the biggest, maybe the most confusing things to me is everyone saying, "When's the next movie?" Well, the movies have their own spot in the timeline, which is they don't.
yeah, that is the best one though. Like when people are like, when are you gonna do Broly?" And it's like
Yeah, when's
after movie
Broly?
two. Like, when are you gonna do movie eight? After movie seven. When are you gonna do movie seven? After movie six. and
When's
and
when's Broly? Well, Gohan kind of needs to be a teenager first.
yeah.
Um, it's like before Trunks even came out. It's like, okay, cool, you guys did the Cooler movie. When's the Android movie? Kind of need Trunks for that.
Yeah. And another funny one is, um, the next movie we have to do is actually going to be Cooler Returns, which is so awkward because the movie before it is Cooler's Revenge.
Yeah, it's got to be a Japanese naming thing.
No, because the names that like the Japanese names are vastly different. Like, legitimately, the Japanese names were vastly different from the American ones.
Yeah, it's like the idea behind Cooler's Revenge is, oh, he wants revenge for
For
Goku
his
killing
brother.
Frieza. Okay, cool. And oh, here's another Cooler movie. Damn it.
Two Cooler movies in a row was probably not the way to go, personally.
Then
I'm just taking a look at it. I was like, wow, Cooler was already not all that interesting. He was basically an extension of Frieza, and now you've made him metal.
yeah, now you've turned him into a robot, which it I do like the Cooler movies though. They're not terrible, but I feel like there are some things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
Specifically for the dub, this had to have been like I don't know if it's the original Japanese translation, but during the first fight where Goku's fighting the metal cooler, and it's like, "Oh, this is my instant transmission technique." And Goku's like, "I know, it's my favorite technique." He's like, "I don't think that's a thing."
Actually, that's not that far off.
Really?
Um, because he talks about using the technique in the Japanese version, and Cooler says something along the lines of, "Ah, so you know that technique too?"
Huh.
And Goku's like, what do you mean two? And then he uses the technique, and I didn't understand. Like honestly, the second Cooler movie is kind of bad.
Yeah,
It's
no,
actually
it's
when I returned to it, because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is neat, and there's some really cool shots of Super Saiyan Vegeta and Goku, and they fight alongside each other, and you never see that happen. But when I went back to it, I'm like, wow, some of the art and animation in this movie is awful. The pacing is bad. It makes no sense near the end, and there's just a bunch of random crap thrown in here.
really the only thing that I can pull out of it that's positive, other than the fact that, it's there are worse movies in the Dragon Ball Z franchise, is
Oh,
that
well, yeah.
it does kind of show the mechanics of how instant transmission works, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and movie 8 does a little bit of that too.
Yeah,
Um,
with him
actually,
warping to Broly and
yeah,
everything.
movie 8 actually is one of those movies that while Broly himself becomes an absolutely awful character, if you were to take movie 8 on its own, it's actually very interesting because it provides a lot, like the idea of Vegeta becoming king of his own planet, and
Yeah,
then Prince Trunks and whatnot. Not to mention, you know, Broly is an intimidating character. The first time you see him and the first time he really gets into it, you kind of have to sit back and go, "Wow, that's really scary."
yeah. The
Um,
the only real issue with him being scary is that you're spoiled by the title. It's like, which one is it? Which one's the legendary Super Saiyan?
well,
Oh,
if you don't, the funny thing is, even like and no matter what, even with the Japanese title that doesn't say it, like the Japanese title does not say even his name. It doesn't even have Legendary Super Saiyan in the title.
yeah,
Um, but like the weird thing is, there is no mystery. If you're watching the movie and you see who's that guy in the background, seriously, like he's his son? Well, he's got to do something, right? He's not just going to be there the entire time. Where's the conflict? Because
yeah,
as you can tell, there's no conflict the entire movie. Like
yeah.
it's like we need to find the legendary Super Saiyan, blah blah blah, and whatever. So it's like it's got to be him. It
It's
can't not be him.
it's also the longest Dragon Ball Z movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's almost actually feature length,
Yeah,
which is kind of good and kind of bad. It drags a lot.
yeah.
Uh,
It does have a little bit of drag, but it I guess they make up for that with the soundtrack by Pantera. So
oh boy.
that's
Speaking
that's
of the dub.
that's one of those things that I always found funny because Broly was one of the movies that I had on VHS. So in order for me to actually get to the movie, I had to watch all the previews and stuff. And it's like, oh, here's a preview for like a Lupin the Third movie and some other Funimation stuff and maybe some DBZ figures. And if you like the music from Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, then get the new Pantera album. And you go, huh, okay, I guess.
Personally, I never was a big fan of substituting soundtracks in anime ever. Um, Although I have to actually make that exception for the old Street Fighter 2 movie.
Oh well, it's the old Street Fighter 2 movie.
I think everybody makes that exception, actually. I think everybody who's ever watched the original Street Fighter 2 movie with the Japanese soundtrack was like, oh, oh no. Got to admit, it was actually like, while I'm all about preserving like the intent of the original, that was yikes.
But at the same time, how do you feel about the old DBZ dub soundtrack by Bruce Faulconer?
I think I don't I'm not too afraid to say this as I've gone publicly on record about my opinion on Faulkner's score. And I need to preface this, and a lot of people are familiar with this fact. The Faulkner to say the Faulkner score is sort of a misnomer because more people than Faulkner worked on that score.
True.
Um, I can't remember the names of the other people, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to them because I know they put in a lot of work. There's actually somebody, one of the people who worked on it actually posts very often over on the Kanzenshu forums, which is a big Dragon Ball Z forum that I frequent, and probably one of the best, no, the best Dragon Ball Z forum like online. probably just upset a lot of people who don't like the Kanzenshuu forum for being, really kind of elitist. But,
Oh well.
elitism isn't a problem as long as you're, quite honest about it and don't think you're better than other people.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't like the Faulkner score. I actually really dislike the Faulkner score. And I have gone out of my way at every opportunity not to use that score in the show. And I've only done so far in two instances. One where we were word for word mocking an original dub scene that was totally right for mocking. I mean,
Right.
like everybody who has seen the scene, it's the one with Piccolo when he first gets to Namek, and everybody who knows that scene, even the people who worked on it, can say, "Oh no, that was awful." Like
Yeah.
it's probably the worst, one of the worst scenes in that entire dub. So
Yeah.
we did go out of our way to use that score there because I was like, okay, yeah, no, that has to be there. We can't have the scene where we're making fun of it without, you know,
Making fun of it.
yeah. But then there was another, and the only other scene actually is when 17 is making fun of the Android 13's country accent, which we will touch on when we do get around to movie 7. Uh,
I uh movie 7 is it's a movie.
it's
Um
weird. It's weird. It's full of weird moments and weird character designs and slightly racist character designs. Uh,
I
but
I do like how the dub did incorporate the redneck jokes into it though. That
don't you lecture me with your $30 haircut. Goku dies.
that yeah. Yeah,
And
that's the line
uh,
I'm thinking of.
but yeah, I actually am really not a big fan of the Faulkner score, and it's not necessarily that Faulkner himself, like the Faulkner score itself, and the people who worked on it didn't have some decent melodies here and there. Like there were some really interesting tunes, but by and large, I find it to be kind of nonstop, overly synthesized. It often degrades itself into noise. It's kind of like we just need something in the background.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. The really only standout tracks that I can definitively say that I enjoy are Trunks' theme, just because it's sort of, especially,
That one's kind of weird because you can tell that they went out their comfort zone and made something completely different for that one.
yeah, and it was sort of something to add the extra punch to. Here's this mysterious new character. Let's give him
They made a
music.
freaking promo for him. That
Yeah,
I want to that's something funny too. They made a promo for Trunks, a character. They went out of their way and they were like, "Yeah, by the way, this character that you've never seen before, Trunks."
yeah,
Like back in the day when I was a kid though, I was already like and in this tells you that Funimation openly acknowledged the fact that there was a Japanese audience or I'm sorry, an audience in the United States for the original. Because they acknowledge that, like, by the way, yeah, Trunks. We know how cool he is. We know how awesome and hip and fresh. And here's a promo for him to get you hyped. And when I was a kid, oh my God, it worked.
yeah,
I was so excited. I was like all about that. I watched that promo like I can't tell you how I was vibrating in my seat uh when my VHSs came in for Trunks' appearance. And here's the screwed up part. I got a faulty VHS and had to send it back in and get a new one.
Oh no.
I wasn't able to watch it. I got it in. I was so excited, and then
Uh,
production error. Apparently that happened with a bunch of them. We got a call. They were like, or we called them and they're like, yeah, that happened. Just send it on back in. We'll replace it.
yeah, but other than Trunks, I would say the only other two that I can definitively peg out are the Perfect Cell theme, which
Which actually is pretty
it
decent.
it's pretty cool, and then the Super Vegeta theme with the piano. It's just it's so good.
Yeah. Again, a couple good tunes here and there, like the Super Saiyan 3 transformation theme.
Yeah,
Like no, like that was they. You can tell they were definitely trying to put like they're not bad at music necessarily. They were just so focused on making sure they Mickey Moused everything. Everything had to have a little tune to go with it, so the kids apparently wouldn't stop watching because apparently a couple moments of silence will just absolutely kill viewership. I don't. That was back in the day though. That was an older time with and
There are a lot
not
of things that don't make sense with production and deciding what gets put and what gets cut and what show gets moved for something else. This is something that Kana talks about every time she brings up Sailor Moon, but Sailor Moon's original time slot was moved and taken away from it. I don't know the exact specifics. She explains it a lot better than I can. But essentially, Sailor Moon's time slot was moved because it was pulling the male audience away from another show, and the show that they wanted the male audience to be on was Hamtaro,
Taro time.
which for anybody who knows Hamtaro, that sounds ridiculous because it's essentially a kiddie anime.
But that's why they put it on Toonami, man.
I,
I love the fact that they put it on Toonami and they flat like it was obviously something like from the higher ups. Like the people running Toonami didn't want to do that. They even had Tom make a joke about the fact that Hamtaro was on their freaking time slide. I
but
mean,
and
yeah.
and and it yeah, it's obviously a higher ups thing because and then to go and say that Sailor Moon is stealing Hamtaro's viewership, I I don't know. Oh well. Honestly, I never really watched a whole lot of old Toonami. I didn't really get into Toonami until like the end of its lifespan because my first anime that I started watching that I was able to cognitively recognize as an anime was really Naruto, and that was like literally the end of Toonami's lifespan. But I did see a few things here and there on TV. Like obviously, I watched Dragon Ball Z religiously because that's the cool thing to do in elementary and middle school. It's like, oh, it's the show that everyone's talking about, and it's Dragon Ball Z, yeah. But other than that, I never watched like all the other stuff that was on Toonami or Adult Swim back then. And it wasn't until I caught the second cycle when everyone started abridging everything that I saw stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and Berserk and stuff like that.
Ah, man, Yu Yu Hakusho. Ah, sorry. Now I'm just getting nostalgic. I haven't watched Yu Yu Hakusho in forever. I remember the first time I saw it was actually on Adult Swim, and man, Adult Swim was just the shite, wasn't it?
Yeah, my biggest issue with Yu Yu Hakusho was the only episodes I ever saw were when I went to stay over at a friend's house, and
Uh,
it was always one of the first 12 episodes where nothing interesting happens. And
well, that's only kind of true.
it's only kind of absolutely true.
It's kind of the absolute opposite of Bleach, and yet the story is so freaking similar.
I
It's like
I
the
I
first,
always draw attention to the fact that Yu Yu Hakusho has an on and off story arc style. It goes plot, tournament, plot, tournament, plot, tournament.
yeah. In that pulled a lot from Dragon Ball. Actually, Dragon Ball did that too.
Yeah,
Um, although I think ultimately Yu Yu Hakusho did it a lot better.
it
But then
absolutely
again,
did.
in terms of story, let's be honest, Dragon Ball is not heavy on story, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Like we
no,
enjoy you enjoy Dragon Ball for what it is.
it's definitely good to know what you want in your series and have it be that thing. And
Yeah.
Tagashi is one of, I think, the better writers out there where he knows what he wants and he does it.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, Togashi does what Togashi wants. And that's the best part about Togashi. Like he doesn't listen. He is this I don't know what goes through his mind nowadays, but he just takes no guff from no one. Like he'll write deaths of characters who were popular. He'll push the envelope. He'll have storylines that are really uncomfortable. He'll have violence that just, and you don't see a whole lot in shonen series these days because he just doesn't care. He wants to tell a good story. He wants to grip you, which is so sad that his back problems have made it nearly impossible for him to continue.
Yeah,
Like
I hope he feels a lot better really soon. Just
we,
because It's
we all want him to, because mostly because you just don't want him, like, he's put so much time and effort into this. You want him to be able to finish it.
that's always the biggest thing where it's it sounds almost like selfish like fanboyism, and I guess to a degree it could be considered that, but at the same time, you just don't want somebody to not be able to finish what they're working on. You want them to be able to get their ending that they want and not have it be something where some corporate guy has to hash it together based on notes that they found.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Like, ultimately, all you don't want it to end up like, oh, that last Satoshi Kon film. Can't remember what its name was, but um but ultimately, Togashi's a fantastic writer. Uh, and I'm so glad that, at least he has left his mark on the industry. Uh, oh man, talking about like he's out of the game. I hope not. I hope not. I hope that Togashi continues, really, because again, for them, and funny enough for them, their work is like in Japanese culture, for artists like him, their work is their life. So it means a little bit more to them as well.
Yeah, and especially for someone who has now two anime adaptations that are over 100 episodes, that's
Hunter
pretty impressive.
Hunter x Hunter was incredibly popular in Japan. Like, it was remarkably popular, actually. And while I was a bigger fan of the original anime interpretation, it is good to see that, they gave it a second shot.
I really like the second shot. From what I've heard about the original adaptation is that it had a lot of padding and it would take 2 episodes to cover a chapter, whereas
But
I feel like then I will go back and watch it so I have a better educated opinion of how it is then to how it is now. But I feel like it has a decent pace while still covering a lot of the original manga story, which sometimes is lost during the adaptation.
I'll admit, the first adaptation of the manga does have padding. But something that you'll notice, and this is why, the second one I'm less of a fan of. In the first one, you can tell that that the people working on it, and especially the director, had a distinct and unfathomable love for Hunter x Hunter.
True.
And not just a love for the series, but also the ideas and the world. Um, he sat down and he constructed a lot of, like, a lot of that padding was world building in ways that not only were very, um oh, what's the term, they definitely fit in line with what Togashi, like, it melded very well with Togashi's ideas and tone, and it was incredible. Like, the atmosphere in the original is unmatched, like, in almost every regard in the new version. That's one thing that's thrown me off. Like, the original atmosphere and the colors and the art, like, the new one feels a little hollow. It's a little bit too, like, with all the digital coloring,
Yeah.
but not just that. There's a lot of atmosphere again that's lost. Not to mention, I got to admit, the animation in the original, like, some of it was, here or there, but then there were episodes where they just went all out, stuff that we haven't seen. Like, well, the art by and large is better in the new series. Some of those fights don't even compare.
It's true. I will have to definitely go back and check it out. One of the things that I definitely do think the new series has going for it is that a lot of the voices are very appropriate and they fit very well. I couldn't pick a better voice actor for Genthru if I tried.
Oh no, no, like, legitimately. And while I thought I would really not be able to get past Junko Takeuchi not being gone, the new girl doing him is very good.
Yeah, it's definitely good, and the thing I really like about Hunter x Hunter is that it recaptures the feel I had as a kid watching Dragon Ball Z, where I'm excited for the new episode to come out every week, and I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm excited even though I'm all caught up with the English release of the manga, I'm still excited to see what gets into this new episode and what they manage to put for this week where
Man, I sure hope that a lot of the listeners are big Hunter x Hunter fans.
uh, I've I've been trying to convert pretty much all the people I can over the past 2 or so years into becoming a Hunter x Hunter fan. So if the listeners aren't by now, then that's their problem.
It's a really good series, guys. Instead of watching Kill a Kill, watch Hunter x Hunter. I'm not a fan of Kill a Kill. I'm sorry.
I
I don't, and I honestly don't get why people like. It's weird. Usually, I can sit back and not like something and say, no, I get why people like this. I sit back and watch Kill a Kill, and I'm like, why? We've seen this before. Better animated and better done in a million different genres.
I I I will not fault anyone for disliking Kill la Kill. I thought I wouldn't like it, but at the same time, I just have that mentality where I just watch it. I don't expect anything from it. Whatever it gives me, I will accept. And it's like, okay, this
I
was
didn't.
this is Kill la Kill.
I didn't expect anything from it when I went into it. Like I basically sat down and said, "Oh yeah, one of my friends told me this was really good," and then I watched the first three episodes, and I was like, "Okay,
Where's
I
the good
guess,
part?
yeah. Where's the part that's supposed to blow? Where's the part I haven't seen before? I mean, there's nothing in there I hadn't seen before. Not
Yeah,
to mention, and I gotta bring this up. Does no one notice how cheap it is?
yeah,
Like it's so unbelievably cheap. And while usually I'm okay with cheap as long as they're putting the like don't emphasize how cheap you are by constantly padding your show with repeating things over and over. Like
yeah.
there are certain jokes I'm okay with, like the jokes with oh, what's the girl? She's the really dumb one, but she's
Mako,
funny. Mako. Mako, whatever.
M-
Uh,
Mako.
like she she's funny. She's like legitimately funny, and her little moments where she always does her little speech on why she thinks that the other person is wrong. I love those.
Yeah,
And usually when those repeat, I'm like, okay, the joke is kind of like, yeah, they repeat, but they change every time,
the
and
joke
I'm
is
like,
that it's
okay,
Mago. That's
yeah.
the joke.
But then they have those moments where, okay, she's in her fight, and here's a really well animated segment. Now let's play that 5 times over. Okay. And here's a really cheaply animated segment. Okay, well that's leading up to one of the really well animated. Okay, they're repeating that 5 times over again too. Okay, look, you can't just repeat the same footage over and over while the characters are talking and make it look like that's development.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think abridging made me pay more attention to. Um, just the way that when when the abridged series points something out that is legitimately a thing, you notice it more. Recycled animation is something that I can't help but notice anymore, especially if you go back and watch old shows, like especially since I missed the boat on a lot of stuff. And I'm like, okay, let me go back and watch like Beyblade and stuff. There is a lot of recycled animation in Beyblade.
Oh, no, yeah, no.
It it is almost painful, but
And
it
those that's a little kids show, so you kind of give it that leeway of yeah, it's a little kids show. Kids for the most part aren't gonna notice that, and it does allow them to put their budget into other places.
Yeah, but
That's
this
what.
this is a studio where sure it's a quote unquote new studio. It's Gynax. This is Gynax, is what it is.
Well, no, it's actually not. I mean, there are some Gynax people in it, but Trigger is very much more like it's not necessarily Gynax, but more over than anything, if you're gonna be cheap, work it well. Don't make it obvious. Like we are at that point where we have like we have really really good directors who can get around the budgetary issues in fantastic ways. All you have to do is just focus on like slow it down, make it more about atmosphere, and you can get away with the fact that yeah, we kind of had to pad these parts so we could make the really good parts shine. Because all they're doing is making the parts that are where I should be really invested look cheap. And it's
Y-
like, I can't get into that.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you have to take with a grain of salt. And it's like I was talking to Moscow about yesterday. There's not a lot this anime season that jumps out at me. I I can't find anything that I have said, yeah, yes, I need to watch this thing. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna watch the new episode of Hunter every week. So at least I always have that.
Yeah, I mean there were a couple of shows this season where it turned my head. I kind of want to watch Gatchaman Crowds. Apparently, that's kind of good.
That's what I've been hearing. Gatchaman Crowds is one of the top this season. Noragami has a decent looking animation style. I'll probably eventually check that out. And then Magical Warfare is being done by Madhouse, and with everything decent enough that Madhouse has done, I'll at least give it a try.
Yeah, it's just and again, I think one of the biggest problems in the anime industry right now is that we've got a lot of fantastic studios who are really good at animation, but we don't have directors pulling from enough sources anymore. It's like Miyazaki said, right now the industry is being run by people who grew up on anime.
Yeah,
We used to have anime we used to have anime created by people who grew up on all sorts of different genres and walks of life, and were more people. They identified with others. They knew how like there was a psychology to every one of these characters. Somebody once said, in protest to Miyazaki, saying like there was this idea that, oh well, anime is escapism and it shouldn't all be realistic, and it's like, no, anime does not have to be realistic, but the characters have to be, and that is a huge thing that has gotten away. Like the characters, like one of my biggest problems with the anime industry right now is that all these characters are archetypes and tropes and unrealistic to a fault, because a lot of it's created by people like, again, Japanese otaku, the bad kind of otaku, not the
yeah,
one, not the regular people who are just really into anime, but the people who grew up on it and make that their lives. So they fall back on tropes. They fall back on ideas of people and not real people.
yeah. It's like I want to make this character kind of like a cross between Goku and Edward Elric. Let's go with that.
Yeah, and you can have characters that are tropes or weird or not real people, but you can't have them be the focus. Like they have to be, you have to pick and choose where you're going to put a character like that.
Yeah,
Like
it can't show up in every single show, and
like the tsundere archetype, which
yeah.
the worst part about the tsundere archetype is that it is unrealistic to a fault.
Well,
Like
it's not like I enjoy the Cinderella archetype or anything.
that was clever. Um, but no, the Tsundere archetype is so very fun to watch though, because yeah, we all have those moments where we've acted out of turn and been kind of a jerk to somebody when really all we wanted to tell them was, no, I do like it. I do like you. It's not that. I'm just stressed out and I'm sorry.
Can I just get
And
one
that's
romance anime that doesn't have a single one, please?
Yeah, no, like legitimately, the tsundere, like there doesn't need to be the tsundere, and tsundere, those kind of women in the real world are really annoying.
Yeah, they
Like
really are.
legitimately, if a girl acts like that with you, they probably don't like you, and if they do, they've got issues. They probably really have issues, and you probably don't want to go anywhere near that. Like
Yeah,
not to say like all those like they don't deserve friendship and companionship and love, but they're obviously not ready for a relationship if they're going to treat you like shit instead of just being honest. It's not something that is endearing, it's a problem.
yeah, it's yeah. Well, we could stand here and talk about the issues with anime all day, but
Yeah, it's
it's
it's been weird. This has been all over I feel like I haven't talked a whole lot about the show. I feel so bad. I hope all you people who tuned in aren't upset that I didn't talk more about DBZA. I can talk about that.
well. Before we wrap up, let's talk a little about it. How is the production for episode 40 coming?
That'll be out in about a week and a half.
Oh, that's a decent turnaround time. I mean, I feel like you had 39 ready almost right after 38 came out.
Actually, that's one of the reasons that happened is that we actually had a lot of time to script. And now we're scripting while I'm working on 40. So we're gonna have 41 probably scripted by the time I'm done with 40, which will help me get 41 out not long after I'm done with that. Mostly because we have History of Trunks and Cooler that we're also planning on getting out by the summer.
Yeah, and that it's definitely it's a big crunch time because especially right after it's there in the vague movie timeline, there are a lot of movies that happen between now and between essentially movie 10. Like 7, 8, and 9, I think all come out right after another. And
Yeah.
it's tough because since they're, you know, longer as a movie that you have more stuff to script, more stuff to decide, okay, keep this, cut that, that sort of thing. And it definitely does add to the production time.
No, it definitely does. And we've seen that our movies aren't as popular as our episodes, which is understandable. They're the supplementary material. You can't expect everybody to be so, excited for the movies. But they do take a lot of time.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think for me, where the biggest issue for me was I've never rewatched a lot of the older movies. Like I think Dead Zone and Tree of Might I've seen all of like twice, whereas I had the VHS for both Cooler, Android, and the first two Brolys, and I just would rewatch them all the time. So those are like not necessarily my favorites, but they're the ones that I've seen the most of and I know the most about. I don't think I've ever actually watched all of Lord Slug uh, in its entirety.
you
And
want to know? You want to know something? Here's a secret. I've never seen all of movie 10 all the way through.
no,
I haven't seen all of movie 11 either. I've seen every other movie top to bottom all the way through. I've never watched 10 or 11
movie
like
10's really good
nonstop.
though.
What? The Return of Broly?
No, I'm thinking 11. Fusion. Fusion is good.
No, 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 no. Fusion is 12. Fusion
Oh,
is 12. Hildegard's 13.
right.
11's Bio Broly. 10 is Return of Broly.
Okay, well then I can't fault you. I can't fault you for not watching all of
Yeah. The
11.
the two Broly movies are just, and it's so bad because movie 11's got great animation.
The one
Like,
thing I like about movie 11 is that it finishes the plot point of Satan owing 18 money. That's how the movie starts, is she's coming to collect, and that's just really cool.
wait, was that movie 11, I think?
It's Bio,
Isn't that yeah, Bio Broly,
Bio
yeah.
Broly. I know
Yeah.
them by name, not by number. This is my
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. I actually know them by I know them by number at this point. That's the way I identify them.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's hilarious because I'm the director of the show. I really should watch all of like all through those movies. But I've seen every episode of the series in Japanese and English at this point, and all of Kai in English and Japanese. The movies, however, I ah.
I'll be honest with the second and third Broly movies, you're not missing a lot. Eh,
I just can't. I cannot imagine that there is anything like relevant past or future that happens in those movies that I could necessarily make reference to in the series anyway.
Not missing a lot.
Yeah,
It's mostly because those movies, the main characters in those movies are Goten and Trunks.
and it's
And
not like I don't like Guts and Trunks, but it's like you can't sustain a movie on them. Like they tried. They were like, yeah, well, we have a couple of cute kid characters, and the kids will love them. And the kids probably found them great, but all the rest of their audience was like, these guys are really kind of not that entertaining or engaging at
and
all.
at the same time, it's a movie about Goten and Trunks versus Broly.
And that's just weird.
You can't
That's like,
it it doesn't make sense in anyone's head, and that's why it doesn't really work as a movie, I think. Because it's essentially half an hour of Goten and Trunks running away from Broly. That's really all it is until Gohan shows up.
yeah. And once Gohan shows up, things actually get kind of interesting, but that barely lasts for very long, and it's mostly
Yeah,
just Gohan getting his ass handed to him, which is
which
ridiculous.
and then Bio Broly's even worse.
Oh yeah,
It's
no, we're not even going to talk about Bio Broly. That That like even taught we dare not speak its name kind of thing. Just let that be that whole mess,
But yeah,
literally and
episode
figuratively.
40 will be out this month, and like you said, you're working on a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot of content that happens in DBZ around this time. Obviously, you guys have the big cell reveal. I guess I'll call it a reveal.
Oh yeah, and we're milking that actually. Like over these next couple of episodes, we've got a lot coming up, and we are so excited. Like I can't even tell you this. We haven't been this excited for a villain since we found out how to write Frieza.
Yeah,
Um,
I can definitely see that, and I'm really looking forward to see how you guys have written Cell because there are so many ways to write a character like that.
he's going to be potentially offensive.
Okay,
Um,
I'm okay with
I
this.
and not in the manner of he says things that like he says some things that are not supposed to be derogatory, and they're not, like he's not using any derogatory language, but you could very easily be offended by a lot of things he's got to say.
All right, I
Um,
am looking forward to it then. I
uh,
like I really enjoyed the way you guys wrote Frieza, and especially the way that you had Martin portray Frieza. It feels perfect. I can't think of any other way to describe it. It's perfect. You couldn't have done it any other way.
I got to admit, Frieza is still my favorite character we ever wrote for, mostly because we got to do so much with him. He was such a great, intimidating character who we could also be funny with. So
Yeah, and it's one of those things where there are a lot of jokes you can make about Frieza while still making him intimidating.
yeah, and Cell's gonna be. I want to talk more about him, but I feel like saying anything about him is going to ruin his jokes.
The only thing you can say is that he's voiced by Taka, and we'll leave it at
He,
that.
he is in fact voiced by Taka, and we've got a good history of characters voiced by Taka.
I'm pretty sure half of your shirts are characters voiced by Taka.
But
Anyway, and obviously, like you said, also coming out around the same time as the new episode is the new website. So,
yep, new website, new episode. We're also working on a history of Trunks, so be excited for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Um,
will it be the same domain name, just a revamped site?
oh yeah, no, definitely not change because team4star.com. I mean, can't can't get a better website name for us than that.
Yeah, well, I guess you could try, but it'd be tough.
But
But and then on top of that, obviously, you guys have all the TFS plays going on.
yeah, our TFS plays are actually at TFS Two Saiyans. Um, And if you guys enjoy kind of just us as people, which oh thank you, but if you do and you'd like to like kind of get a feel for us, definitely check out TFS Gaming because you can like we have a lot of fun with those, and you kind of see us, often being more of ourselves. So those are a lot of fun, and especially if you're into Let's Plays.
And we cannot stress enough that it does not in any way take away from
Oh
the production time of DBZ Abridged, because if you'll notice, Kaiser is not in a lot of them because he's busy working on the episodes.
yeah, and not to mention I don't edit them. Like I like to put that to bed. Never before has an episode been delayed because of our Let's Plays. Like not once, not ever.
Yeah,
Uh,
all of the League of Taka stuff is edited by Taka, and
actually, the League of Talk stuff is edited by me, but they're about like 2 hours, and I do them in between episodes.
oh,
Like
okay.
they stockpile them up, and when I'm done with an episode, I'm like, okay, let's get some League of Talks done.
And also, let's be honest, it's not that hard to cut stuff out of a
No,
League of
no,
Legends
not League
game.
of like. That's why I'm like, guys, League of Talk is like the easiest freaking thing to edit.
Yeah.
Um, but
Although I will admit, as much as I want to like watch your TFS play stuff, as a legitimate League of Legends player, I can't watch Taka. I can't do it.
oh no, yeah, no,
It is legitimately painful to watch some of the plays he makes. It's like, oh my God, what are you? I get it. You haven't played in years, and
no,
you're
no.
learning everything new on the fly. But oh my God, stop! Please
Yeah,
stop.
yeah. This is not for people who are like looking for like this is basically reality television. Like I'll
Yeah.
admit, it's basically our version of reality television. As bad as that sounds, and I hate reality TV, but it's like, yeah, this is basically him being a dork on League of Legends. So have fun with that.
I think the newest episode guest star is gone.
Actually no, the newest one actually has Antfish in it.
That's right, Antfish, but Gon was in one of them, I think.
Yeah, Gon has been in two of them.
Okay, cool.
And he's actually a lot of fun to play with. Like legitimately, give those two a watch. Guy is so much fun to bounce off because it's very much a straight man, funny guy scenario.
All right, cool. I'll probably check those ones out, but
And one more thing I want to and I know this is gonna sound kind of exploitative of me, but I gotta say, if you've ever wanted to like support the series monetarily and don't want to like buy our shirts and whatnot, if you ever want to just show your support for us, yeah, watch the Let's Plays. Those actually do make us a little bit of money, and
specifically watch the Let's Plays with your ad blocker turned off.
please turn your ad blocker off for us. I'd appreciate that. Please whitelist us. I'm not gonna jump up anybody's ass. I'm not gonna go on some rant about it. But please do try and support the people who give you material, who give you content you enjoy.
Buy some
Because
shirts.
or hey, yeah, if you do want to buy some shirts, thank you. Like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like like it's one of those, it is one of those weird instances where you're sitting back like, yes, please support us, because we don't want to be like buy our we don't want to be Jay Sherman sitting back saying buy our shirts, buy our shirts. It's
But
just a matter of
but seriously,
like,
buy the shirts.
yeah, but seriously, buy the shirts. But it's weird. You never want to be that guy. You never like you're looking out for yourself and your brand, but you don't want to be the guy who's like, yes, we must make more money.
Yeah,
That sucks. That sucks to feel like. That sucks to do. And that's why every time I see people who just literally sell their soul for this sort of thing, who really do like legitimately sell out, I just can't. I can't. I mm,
yeah, but
I just,
that's just the main thing to point out. And you said it in the first like state of Team Four Star video, where if you do want to support Team Four Star, the best way to do that is to whitelist the TFS plays and watch a bunch of those, or go buy some shirts or stuff like that.
but thank again, thank all of you for being as supportive as you have been. Like legitimately, I know I might have come off a little vitriolic with some people, or maybe a little venomous, but really legitimately it's just a matter of, this is a labor of love that takes a lot of our time and effort. So for all of you who have supported us, thank you very much.
Yeah, and uh, I think almost to that sort of degree, you might even benefit from making like a website, when is the next DBZ abridged episode, and just having it be a blank giant like 40-point font text that says soon.
When it's done.
Yeah, when it's done. That's even better. It's like, when's the new episode? When it's done. Because essentially that is the answer. You
Yeah.
can't always put a timestamp on it until it's done, and then at that point you will have a timestamp for it. So uh, just be patient and don't be a jerk about it. I guess. I mean, as much as we can try to say that, it'll still happen. But
Yeah.
if we convince at least one person, that's one less person bugging you about it.
But so anything else you wanted to go over before I guess we have to wrap this up soon?
Well, we could go on forever, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. What conventions are you guys heading to that you're allowed to talk about?
We're up on Acon's site. We're going to Anime Midwest. Acon is, oh shoot, I need a list of all the things we're going to. Hold on.
Uh,
Hold on. Let's see. Omni Expo is actually our first con. That's going to be in May from the 23rd to the 25th at the Marriott World Center in Orlando, Florida.
Yay!
Omni Expo is looking to shape up to be quite freaking amazing. It's got Robert Axelford, Kyle A. Bear, Grant George, Steve Downs, Carrie Savage, Ellen McLean, the voice of GLaDOS, and oh God, I can't remember his name. Michael Coleman. Wait, no, Steve Downs. Yeah, no, the guy who played Master Chief. Uh,
Yeah, Steve Downs, that's Master
yeah.
Chief.
And Christopher Sabat. Sabat's gonna be there.
Yay, Sabbath.
along Kara Edwards, Woskotan, and yeah, there's like a lot of people, Chris Patton, Derek Bow, like it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, and it's at a great center, like 100%. If you can make it, that one looks like it's gonna be holy cow. Um, then we have Acon coming up. Let me just make sure when Acon is. Why isn't that in my address bar? Gosh darn it. Um,
Here, let me help. Econ and
yeah,
not
June 6th to the 8th, and yeah, that's gonna be in Dallas. Anime Midwest is actually gonna be in. Hold on. Anime Midwest. I should have had this ready. I'm a terrible guest. Yeah, Anime Midwest is actually July 4th to the 6th at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare in like right outside Chicago in Rosemont.
Very nice.
We're also going back to Youmacon this year, I believe.
I would
Uh,
certainly hope so. It's like it's essentially your home convention at this point.
yeah, I think we might be going back to Kineticon, but I'm not sure. Uh, and so yeah, we've got Omni Expo, Anime Midwest. We've got one more I can't talk about.
Hmm.
Uh, we have yeah, Omnicon, Acon, Anime Midwest, Youmacon, the one that I can't talk about, maybe Kineticon, and I think that's necessarily it for conventions that we're going to as a group.
Yeah, I know specifically this weekend for any UK fans, Mosco's at London Anime Con. So if you're in the UK and you're planning to head up there this weekend, go find him.
But actually, I probably should wrap this up because me and the husband have to get to our dinner soon here,
Of
and I
course,
don't.
wouldn't want to keep you from a romantic dinner.
It's pizza, and we're literally gonna eat pizza and then watch Samurai Pizza Cats as we're eating pizza.
That's that. Like I said, romantic. What could be more romantic than that?
What is more romantic?
There isn't anything. You can't think of anything. But obviously, once you guys have more convention announcements, all that stuff will be up on the new and improved website, I'm sure.
Yes, and again, very excited about that. It's gonna look better. It's gonna work better. It's just gonna be a nicer experience for everyone involved.
Well, I'm sure you don't need any of our help promoting the new website, but once it's out, we'll be sure to give you a retweet and some traffic over there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And like anytime we want to do this again, just maybe, shoot the breeze. I'd love to come back on. And thank you again for having me. I love working with you guys. You're always so much fun, especially to like hang out at conventions and drink with.
Yeah, and, we're always happy to cross promote. If there's anything you ever need from us, we're always happy to help you out.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem. But we're going to wrap this up, and for anybody who missed any of this interview, shame on you. It'll be up on the website within the week, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.